her fingers close around his jacket before her brain catches up. 10:47 p.m. The crystal chandeliers of the orchid room scatter light like frozen tears across Seoul's most exclusive restaurant. 11 tables, 43 of the most dangerous people in South Korea, and one black waitress with her hand wrapped around fabric that costs more than her yearly salary. The room doesn't go quiet. It shatters. Every whispered negotiation, every clink of $1,000 wine against crystal, every breath, gone, replaced by a silence so complete that Kendra Okafor can hear her own heartbeat crashing against her ribs like a trapped animal. She can smell him. Sandalwood cologne and whiskey without ice. The same scent she's memorized over 47 nights of invisible service. The same man she's watched command rooms with a lifted finger. The same monster she's about to save. Ji-hoon Choi looks down at her hand on his midnight black lapel, then up at her face. His expression reveals nothing. His eyes reveal everything. Dark. So dark they're almost black. And they hold the kind of attention that makes her understand. Suddenly, why grown men fear him. This isn't anger. This isn't outrage. This is focus. The absolute terrifying focus of a predator who has just noticed something unexpected in his territory. 13 minutes. That's all she had. 13 minutes, until he walked through those gilded glass doors, climbed into the black Mercedes waiting outside, and drove straight into an ambush that would leave his body floating in the Han River by sunrise. 12 minutes now. What would you do if staying silent meant watching someone die? Hi viewers. Kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Behind Ji-hoon, Secretary Han Sung-jin stands frozen near the entrance. His phone screen still glows in his palm. His thumb hovers over the message he was typing, the one confirming the kill. For 4 years, this man has worn loyalty like a second skin. Perfect bow, perfect timing, perfect mask. But Kendra has spent 18 months learning to see what others miss. And right now, in the half-second before Han reconstructs his composure, she watches his mask crack. Recognition flashes through his eyes. She knows. The words don't leave his lips, but they scream across his face loud enough for her to read. His gaze flicks to the gilded doors, to the bodyguards visible through the glass, to Ji-hoon's exposed back, then to the gun-shaped bulge beneath his jacket. Kendra's throat tightens. She hadn't known about the gun. 3 weeks of carrying this secret like a stone in her chest, and she'd never considered that Han might have a backup plan, a close-range solution if the river failed. Ji-hoon still hasn't spoken. He's studying her with an intensity that makes her feel like a butterfly pinned to velvet. His security team, 2 men, built like tanks, push through the glass doors behind him, hands already reaching for their earpieces. She has seconds. Don't go outside. Her voice comes out steadier than she feels. Quiet. For his ears only, though the silence carries it further than she intended. Every table is watching now. 43 pairs of eyes witnessing the impossible. A server touching Ji-hoon Choi. A nobody stopping a god. Your PA set you up. Ji-hoon's expression doesn't change, but something shifts in those dark eyes. A flicker of calculation. A predator reassessing the terrain. The Yongsan meeting is a trap, she continues, the words tumbling out faster now. There is no meeting. The Baek family has people waiting. Secretary Han has been working with them for 4 years. Before you even hired him. She swallows hard. If you get in that car, you're not coming back. The silence stretches. 1 second, 2, 3. Behind Ji-hoon, Han's hand moves. Not toward his phone this time. Toward his jacket. Toward the weapon hidden beneath Italian wool. Ji-hoon catches the movement. Not in a reflection. Not from the corner of his eye. He catches it because he's been watching Han the entire time. Using the terror in Kendra's eyes like a mirror. Reading the story written in her frozen posture. When he turns, it isn't with surprise. It's with the slow, certain motion of a man who has been waiting 4 years to confirm a suspicion he prayed was wrong. Sung-jin. Ji-hoon's voice stays soft, almost gentle, the way someone might speak to a dying relative. I wondered when you'd finally show me your real face. The mask falls away completely. What remains is older, harder. A young man's hatred aged into something brittle and absolute. Han's hand closes around his weapon, and his perfect posture transforms into something coiled. Ready. My family built this empire. The words come out like venom. Your father stole it with blood and lies. I'm just taking back what belongs to us. Your family sold children. Ji-hoon doesn't raise his voice. Doesn't need to. My father ended them for it. The only lie was letting anyone believe the Baek bloodline deserved to continue. And what do you deserve? Han's gun clears his jacket. The barrel catches chandelier light like a metal finger pointing at fate. You, who inherited a throne built on our bones. You'll die tonight, Ji-hoon. If not by the river, then here. Either way, the Choi name ends with you. The bodyguards freeze 3 feet from the door. Everyone freezes. Because Han's aim is steady, and his finger is on the trigger, and Ji-hoon Choi is standing directly in the line of fire. Kendra doesn't think. Thinking would have stopped her. Thinking would have reminded her that she's nobody. A ghost with an expired visa. A woman who fled Atlanta with nothing but fear in her suitcase. A survivor who learned 18 months ago that invisibility equals safety. But she's already broken that rule. She's already visible. So she does the only thing left to do. She steps in front of Ji-hoon Choi. Han's eyes widen. His finger tightens on the trigger. The bodyguards lunge forward. And from somewhere to her left, a 70-year-old sommelier swings a $3,000 bottle of Chateau Margaux directly into the back of Han's skull. The gun fires. The bullet tears through the space where Ji-hoon's chest had been 1 second earlier. Glass shatters somewhere behind them. A woman screams. And Han crumples to the marble floor like a puppet whose strings have been cut. The sommelier standing over him with the broken neck of the bottle still clutched in his weathered hands. Chaos erupts. Bodyguards swarm. Tables overturn. Guests scramble for exits they've memorized for exactly this kind of emergency. The orchid room transforms from a sanctuary of power into a battlefield in the span of 3 heartbeats. But Kendra doesn't move. She can't. Because Ji-hoon Choi is staring at her. Standing exactly where she left him. His eyes locked on hers with an expression she can't read. Can't begin to read. She just stepped in front of a bullet for him. And from the look on his face, he has no idea what to do with that information. The bodyguards reach Han. Pin him to the floor. Someone is shouting orders in rapid Korean. Someone else is checking the shattered window. The sommelier sets down his broken bottle with trembling hands. But Ji-hoon doesn't look at any of them. He's still staring at the waitress who just saved his life. The woman who grabbed his jacket and changed everything. His lips part. But before he can speak, one of his security team leans close and whispers something in his ear. Something that makes his jaw tighten. Something that makes those dark eyes go cold. He looks at Kendra differently now. Not with gratitude. With calculation. The bodyguard's whisper carries in the sudden pocket of quiet. Sir, she's undocumented. No visa. No records. No legal name we can trace. She's a ghost. Ji-hoon processes this. His expression smooths into something unreadable. Then no one will miss her if she disappears. Kendra's blood turns to ice. The sommelier's hands are still shaking. Kendra watches him set down the broken bottle. $3,000 of shattered glass, now streaked with Secretary Han's blood, and she thinks, absurdly, that she should thank him. That somewhere in the chaos of the last 90 seconds, this 70-year-old man with liver spots on his knuckles made a choice that saved her life. But she can't move her lips. She can't move anything. Because Ji-hoon Choi just said no one would miss her if she disappeared. The orchid room empties around them like water draining from a sink. Guests vanish through side exits. Staff scatter. The only people remaining are Ji-hoon's security team, the unconscious form of Secretary Han bleeding onto marble floors, and Kendra, standing exactly where she stepped between a bullet and its target. 47 seconds. That's how long his gratitude lasted. Ji-hoon moves toward her. Not fast. Not slow. The measured pace of a man who has never needed to rush, because the world waits for him. His bodyguards drag Han toward a back room, leaving a smear of red across white stone. She should run. The thought flashes through her mind with desperate clarity. The exits are right there. The staff corridors she's memorized over 18 months. The back alley where delivery trucks park. She knows this building better than his security team does. But her legs won't cooperate. Ji-hoon stops 3 feet away, close enough that she can see the tiny crescent moon scar crawling up his neck. Close enough to count the threads in his ruined jacket, the one she grabbed. The one that still carries the warmth of her fingers. You stepped in front of me. His voice is different now, softer, stripped of the command that usually coats every word. Why? Kendra forces her throat to work. I told you. I didn't want to watch you die. You could have been killed. I know. You're nobody. The words aren't cruel, just factual. The way someone might observe that water is wet. You have no stake in whether I live or die. No family connection. No business arrangement. Nothing. I know. Then why? She meets his eyes. Those dark, calculating eyes that have been measuring her since the moment her hand touched his jacket. And she says the only truth she has left. Because nobodies are allowed to do good things too. Rich people don't have a monopoly on courage, Mr. Choi. Something shifts in his expression. It's small, a microscopic crack in the mask he wears. But she catches it the same way she caught Secretary Han's mask slipping earlier. The same skill that kept her alive for 18 months in a world that wanted her invisible. He's surprised. Not by her answer, by the fact that she means it. Sir, one of his security team approaches. The head of the detail, she thinks. A thick-necked man with a boxer's nose and eyes that miss nothing. The target is secured, awaiting your instructions. Ji-hoon doesn't look away from Kendra. And her, still assessing. The security chief glances at her with professional detachment. No records in any system we can access. Immigration has no file. Employment databases show nothing. It's like she materialized out of thin air. Interesting. We could question her. Find out who she's working for. Now Ji-hoon does look away. He turns toward his security chief with an expression that makes the larger man take a half step back. She just saved my life, Dae-jung. She stepped in front of a gun. Does that sound like someone working for the Bakes? It could be a long game. Earn your trust, then what? She warns me about the trap and takes a bullet for me as part of some elaborate infiltration. Ji-hoon's voice drops to something cold. Think before you speak. The security chief Dae-jung swallows hard. Yes, sir. My apologies. Kendra's heart hammers against her ribs. They're talking about her like she's a chess piece, a variable in an equation, a problem to be solved rather than a person standing right in front of them. Ji-hoon turns back to her. You heard things, he says. It's not a question. In the restaurant. Through the walls. For how long? She hesitates. But lying now would be pointless. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. He processes this. You knew for 3 weeks that my personal assistant was planning to kill me, and you said nothing until tonight. I didn't know who to trust. You could have gone to the police. With what visa? I would have been deported before I finished my sentence. You could have told someone on my staff. Who would believe me? The ghost waitress over the man who served you for 4 years. You could have stayed silent, let it happen, kept yourself safe. Kendra's chin lifts. I could have. I didn't. The silence between them stretches, thins, becomes something almost solid enough to touch. Then Ji-hoon nods. Once. A decision made. She comes with us. Dae-jung's eyebrows rise. Sir? She knows too much. About Han. About the Bakes. About what almost happened tonight. I can't let her walk out of here and hope she stays quiet. Ji-hoon's gaze stays fixed on Kendra. And I can't kill someone who just saved my life. So she comes with us. Until I figure out what to do with her. The words hit Kendra like a physical blow. She comes with us. I'm not a prisoner, she says, her voice harder than she feels. No. Ji-hoon's lips curve into something that might be a smile, might be a threat. You're a guest. One who won't be leaving until I decide otherwise. That's the same thing. No, miss. He pauses. I don't actually know your name. Kendra. Kendra Okafor. Kendra. He tastes the syllables like wine. No, it's not the same thing. Prisoners don't get comfortable rooms. Prisoners don't eat well. Prisoners don't walk freely within protected spaces. He steps closer. Close enough that she can smell the whiskey again. The sandalwood. The faint copper of someone else's blood on his sleeve. You're not my prisoner. You're my problem. And I take very good care of my problems until I solve them. Dae-jung clears his throat. Sir, the car. Not that car. Ji-hoon doesn't break eye contact with Kendra. Bring the secondary vehicle. And have the primary one inspected. If Han was thorough, there might be more than just an ambush waiting. The security chief nods and disappears. Ji-hoon offers Kendra his hand. The gesture is almost courtly, like something from an old movie. A gentleman helping a lady into a carriage. Except the gentleman is a crime lord, and the carriage is a gilded cage. She saved a stranger's life. Now her own was hanging by a thread. Subscribe now, because what happens next changes everything. Kendra looks at his offered hand, then at the exit behind him, then back at his face. She takes his hand. His fingers close around hers, warm, surprisingly gentle, and absolutely inescapable. Smart choice, he murmurs. I didn't have a choice. Everyone has choices, Kendra. He leads her toward the back of the restaurant, toward whatever vehicle will carry her into his world. You just made the one that keeps you breathing. Behind them, the sommelier finally sits down on an overturned chair, his ancient body trembling with delayed shock. Han's blood dries on the marble floor. The shattered window lets cold Seoul air into the room. And somewhere in the city, Kendra thinks, the Baek family is learning that their 4-year plan just fell apart. Which means they'll be looking for someone to blame. Which means they'll be looking for her. Ji-hoon's grip tightens on her hand as he guides her through the kitchen. "Try not to look so terrified," he says without turning around. "I'm not terrified. You're shaking." "I'm cold." He doesn't believe her. They both know it. "Don't worry, Miss Okafor. My compound is very warm. You'll be comfortable there." Comfortable. In the home of Seoul's most powerful crime lord. As a woman who knows too much. With no visa, no records, and no one who would miss her if she disappeared. His gratitude lasted 47 seconds, Kendra thinks. Now I'm a loose end, and she's just learned exactly how Ji-hoon Choi handles loose ends. The compound rises out of the darkness like something from a fever dream. Kendra presses her palm against the cold window of the SUV, watching Seoul's neon skyline give way to wooded hills. Then iron gates. Then walls topped with cameras that track their approach like mechanical eyes. Ji-hoon hasn't spoken since they left the orchid room. He sits across from her in the vehicle's leather interior, his phone pressed to his ear, his voice a low murmur of Korean, too rapid for her to follow completely. She catches fragments. Names she doesn't recognize. Numbers that might be money or might be something worse. The word Baek, repeated like a curse. The gates part. The SUV winds up a private road lined with cherry trees that won't bloom for months. In the darkness, their bare branches look like skeletal hands reaching toward the sky. Reaching toward the sprawling mansion that materializes ahead, all glass and stone and angles that belong in an architecture magazine rather than real life. This is where he lives, she thinks. This is his world. The vehicle stops. A uniformed man opens her door before she can reach for the handle. Cold air rushes in. She steps out onto gravel that crunches beneath shoes designed for restaurant floors, not fortress driveways. Her server's uniform, black jacket, white collar, practical flats feels suddenly absurd against the backdrop of such wealth. Ji-hoon emerges from the other side of the SUV, pocketing his phone. In the compound's security lighting, his face is all sharp angles. The neck tattoo she noticed at the restaurant, letters that look like they might spell a name, disappears beneath his collar. This way. He doesn't wait for her response. Simply walks toward the entrance, expecting her to follow. Expecting the world to shape itself around his movement, the way it always has. She follows. What choice does she have? The interior of the compound matches its exterior. Expensive, cold, and somehow empty. High ceilings. Minimal furniture. Art on the walls that probably costs more than her nursing degree would have. Everything positioned precisely, as if a single displaced object might shatter some invisible order. A woman appears from a side hallway. Middle-aged, steel-haired, wearing a black dress that marks her as staff. A housekeeper, maybe. Her face is professionally blank, but her eyes perform a full assessment of Kendra in under 2 seconds. Whatever conclusion she reaches, she keeps to herself. "Prepare the east guest room," Ji-hoon says without slowing. "She'll be staying with us." "For how long, sir?" "Indefinitely." The word hits Kendra like a punch. Indefinitely. Not a night, not a week. An open-ended sentence wrapped in the language of hospitality. The housekeeper nods and disappears. Ji-hoon stops walking, turns. "You'll have everything you need," he says. "Clothes, food, access to the grounds within reason. The only restriction is communication. No phones, no internet access. No contact with anyone outside these walls. That's a prison. That's protection." His voice hardens. "The Baeks will know what happened by morning. They'll know who warned me. And they will come for you, Kendra. Not to ask questions. Not to negotiate. They'll come to make an example. So I'm supposed to just hide here? Forever? Until I neutralize the threat. And how long will that take?" "As long as it takes." She stares at him. This man who is supposed to die tonight. This monster who feeds stray cats when he thinks no one is watching. She remembers that detail from the overheard conversations. The tiny kindnesses he tries to hide. This contradiction standing in front of her, offering safety with one hand and a cage with the other. "I didn't save your life to lose mine. You saved my life." Ji-hoon's voice softens by a fraction. "Which is why I'm trying to save yours. Believe it or not, this is gratitude. Gratitude that looks exactly like captivity. The world is rarely simple, Miss Okafor. Neither are the choices we make to survive it." He turns and walks away, leaving her standing in the vast entryway, with nothing but the echo of his footsteps and the weight of her impossible situation. The housekeeper reappears. "Follow me." The east guest room is beautiful. Kendra hates it immediately. The bed is larger than her old apartment in Atlanta. The windows stretch floor to ceiling, offering a view of moonlit gardens and distant walls. The bathroom contains a tub deep enough to swim in, and products whose brands she recognizes from magazines she could never afford. A prison has never looked so lovely. Clothes will be delivered in the morning, the housekeeper says from the doorway. Breakfast is served at 7. Lunch at noon. Dinner at 7. If you require anything before then, there's an intercom by the bed. Kendra surveys the room. Where are the locks? Excuse me? The door. It doesn't have a lock. The housekeeper's expression flickers. No, it doesn't. Why? A pause. Then, carefully. Mr. Choi prefers to know his guests are accessible. The word sends ice down Kendra's spine. Accessible. The last woman who stayed here uninvited, Kendra says slowly, testing. What happened to her? The housekeeper's face goes completely still. I'm sure I don't know what you mean. I think you do. Silence stretches between them. Two women measuring each other across a doorway. One who has been here long enough to learn secrets. One who has just arrived and already has too many. Get some rest, Miss Okafor. The housekeeper steps back into the hallway. Tomorrow will be difficult. The door closes. No lock clicks. Because there is no lock, Kendra stands in the center of her beautiful prison and tries to remember how to breathe. 18 months of invisibility, shattered in a single moment of courage. A life built on staying unseen, destroyed by the choice to be seen at exactly the wrong time. Or the right time. She's not sure anymore. She moves to the window, presses her palm against cold glass. Beyond the gardens, she can see the compound's walls, the cameras, the guards making their rounds in pairs. No way out. Not tonight. Maybe not ever. She should sleep. Her body screams for rest, but every time she closes her eyes, she sees Secretary Han's gun rising. The muzzle flash in the dark, the space where Ji-hoon's chest should have been. Hours pass. The compound settles into silence, the kind of quiet that only comes with money, thick walls, and soundproofed windows keeping the world at bay. And then, just past 3 in the morning, she hears it. Footsteps. Coming down the hallway. Stopping. Right outside her door. Kendra holds her breath. The footsteps don't move. Don't retreat. They just wait. Someone standing outside her lockless door in the dead of night. Close enough that she imagines she can hear their breathing through the wood. 1 minute passes. 5. 11. She counts each second, her heart pounding loud enough to echo in her ears. Then, finally, the footsteps walk away. Slow, deliberate, unhurried. Kendra doesn't sleep until dawn. And when she finally does, she dreams of crescent moon scars and men who keep their promises like weapons. The summons arrives with breakfast. Kendra hasn't touched the food, elaborate Korean dishes arranged on fine porcelain like edible art, when the housekeeper appears in her doorway. Same black dress, same unreadable face. Mr. Choi would like to see you. Now. Not an invitation. Not a request. Kendra sets down the chopsticks she's been pretending to use. Her reflection in the window shows a woman who didn't sleep enough, wearing clothes that arrived before sunrise, simple, expensive, perfectly sized in a way that suggests surveillance she'd rather not think about. Where? His study. I'll take you. The walk through the compound feels longer in daylight. More halls, more turns, more glimpses of wealth so excessive it becomes almost meaningless. She passes a room filled entirely with bonsai trees, another containing a piano that looks like it's never been played. The study door opens before they reach it. Ji-hoon stands behind a desk made of dark wood, his sleeves rolled to his elbows, papers spread before him in organized chaos. Without the jacket, she can see more of his arm's lean muscle, a few small scars, the edge of another tattoo disappearing beneath pushed-up fabric. "Leave us," he says to the housekeeper. The door closes. They're alone. "Sit." Kendra doesn't move. "I prefer to stand." Something flashes in his eyes. Irritation, maybe, or something closer to amusement. "Fine, stand." He comes around the desk, leaning against its front edge with his arms crossed. "Tell me everything." "I already told you." "You told me fragments. A warning, a name. Enough to save my life, but not enough to help me end this." He tilts his head. "I want everything, Kendra. Every conversation you overheard. Every detail. Every word you remember Secretary Han saying in those ventilation shafts." The ventilation shafts. So he figured out how she heard. Of course he did. "I'm not your employee," she says carefully. I'm not under your command. You can't just... You're in my house. His voice drops. Wearing my clothes, eating my food, under my protection. Which means, for all practical purposes, you are exactly under my command. That's not how gratitude works. This isn't gratitude anymore. He pushes off the desk, closing the distance between them. This is survival. Mine and yours. The Bakes won't stop because one attempt failed. They've waited 15 years for revenge. They'll wait 15 more if they have to. Then let me leave. And go where? He's close now. Close enough that she can smell sandalwood again. Back to your apartment that I'm sure they've already found. Back to a job that no longer exists because the orchid room will be closed for months while we clean up this mess. Back to an expired visa that means the first police officer who stops you sends you straight to immigration detention. Each word lands like a stone. Because he's right. And they both know it. I saved your life. Kendra's voice comes out harder than she intended. The least you can offer is respect. Ji-hoon goes still. For a long moment, he just looks at her. Studies her with that predator's focus she remembers from the restaurant. The attention that makes her feel pinned, examined. Known in ways she hasn't been known since she left everyone who knew her name. You're right. The admission surprises her. I've been treating you like a variable, he continues. A factor in an equation, not a person who made an impossible choice. He steps back, gives her space she didn't realize she needed. Ask me anything. I'll answer honestly. And then I'll ask you my questions. Fair exchange. Kendra considers this, considers him. Who were you talking to? She asks. On the phone, in the car. My intelligence network, tracking down every connection Secretary Han had, every communication, every account. Did you find anything? We found everything. His jaw tightens. 4 years of reports to the Bakes, 4 years of photographs, schedules, security rotations. He gave them a complete blueprint of my operation. 4 years. The betrayal must cut deeper than anything she can imagine. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a planned destruction, executed with patience and precision. How did you not know? Because I trusted him. The words come out flat, emotionless, but she catches the pain underneath, buried deep. He earned that trust, built it brick by brick over 4 years. His family lost everything because of mine, I thought. I thought I could repair that, make amends for what my father did. By giving him power over you? By giving him purpose? Ji-hoon moves to the window, stares out at the morning light. I told myself he'd let go of the past. That working with me, seeing the operation from the inside, would show him we weren't the monsters his family painted us as. But he never let go. No, Ji-hoon's voice drops. He just learned to hide it better. Silence fills the study. Kendra watches his profile against the window. The tension in his shoulders, the way his hands curl into fists at his sides. For the first time since she grabbed his jacket, she sees him clearly. Not the crime lord, not the monster. Just a man who trusted wrong and paid for it in blood. I trusted him with my life, he says quietly. I trusted him with my mother's memory. The crack in his armor opens wider. She sees the boy underneath. The 15-year-old who watched his parents die. The orphan who became a legend because he had no other choice. Did he ever sound like he regretted it? Ji-hoon turns to face her. His eyes are darker than before, wounded in ways that have nothing to do with physical pain. In those conversations you heard, did he ever hesitate? Kendra thinks back. The voices through the ventilation shaft. Han's cold instructions. The hungry reply of his contact. No, she says honestly. He never hesitated. Ji-hoon nods. Once, as if confirming something he already knew but needed to hear. Your turn. For the next hour. She tells him everything. The ventilation shafts, the timing of the calls, the Bake family elder whose voice she didn't recognize, the details about the Yongsan meeting, the reassigned drivers, the planned disposal in the Han River. Every fragment she memorized during 3 weeks of sleepless terror. Ji-hoon listens without interrupting. His expression remains unreadable, but she notices his hands, the way they grip the desk's edge with increasing pressure. The white of his knuckles. When she finishes, silence returns. Why did you wait 3 weeks? The question she's been dreading. Because I was scared. The truth feels heavy on her tongue. Because I didn't know who to trust. Because I kept hoping I was wrong. That I'd misheard. That it was some kind of test or game I didn't understand. But you weren't wrong. No. And tonight, at the restaurant. What changed? Kendra meets his eyes, Tonight was the deadline. If I stayed silent any longer, you'd be dead. And I couldn't. She falters. Starts again. I couldn't carry that, knowing I could have stopped it and didn't. Ji-hoon studies her for a long moment. Then he says, "The bakes aren't finished. Han was just the first wave. They'll send more. Better prepared, more desperate." His voice hardens. "And now that you've been seen with me." He crosses the study, stops directly in front of her. "They'll come for you too." The words land like a sentence. We've all trusted the wrong person at least once. But this betrayal runs deeper than blood. Stay with me, this story's just getting started. Kendra holds his gaze. Then what do we do? Ji-hoon's expression shifts. Something that might be respect flickers behind his eyes. "We survive," he says. Together. 3 weeks pass. Kendra learns the rhythm of her gilded cage. Breakfast at 7. She sits alone in a dining room designed for 20, picking at food so beautifully prepared it feels wrong to eat it. The housekeeper, whose name, she's learned, is Mrs. Kwon, watches from doorways without ever seeming to watch. The guards rotate in shifts she's memorized but cannot exploit. Lunch at noon. Sometimes Ji-hoon appears, sometimes he doesn't. When he does, they eat in silence punctuated by fragments of conversation. She asks about his business. He deflects. He asks about Atlanta. She changes the subject. Dinner at 7. Always alone, always too quiet. But the compound has cracks. She finds them in the hours between meals. The garden that no one enters after dark. The kitchen that empties at 2 a.m. The terrace where Seoul's skyline glitters like scattered diamonds. Visible but untouchable. It's on that terrace, at 3:47 a.m. on her 14th night, that she discovers Ji-hoon's secret. She can't sleep again. The room without locks haunts her even now. 3 weeks after that first night of footsteps outside her door. She's taken to wandering when the insomnia wins. Moving through the compound's empty spaces like the ghost everyone believes her to be. The terrace seems deserted. Then she hears it. A soft sound. Almost musical, coming from behind the stone planters that line the far edge. She moves closer. Silent. Invisible. The skills she learned at the orchid room, serving her now in ways she never imagined. Ji-hoon sits on the cold stone, his back against a planter, his suit jacket discarded beside him. His sleeves are rolled up. His hair, usually perfect, falls across his forehead in messy disarray. And he's surrounded by cats. Strays, by the look of them. Thin and cautious and wild-eyed. But they curl around him like he's made of warmth. One calico pressed against his thigh. A black tom rubbing its face against his knee. A tiny gray kitten barely old enough to survive alone, asleep in the cup of his palms. He's talking to them. She can't hear the words, just the tone. Soft, gentle. The voice of a man who has forgotten, for a moment, that he's supposed to be a monster. Kendra steps on a loose stone. It shifts. The cats scatter. Ji-hoon's head snaps up, and for one heartbeat, she sees him stripped of every mask. Startled, vulnerable, almost young. Then the walls slam back into place. "You're awake." He rises, brushing cat hair from his trousers with studied casualness. "So are you." "I don't sleep much." "Neither do I." She moves onto the terrace, closer now. Close enough to see the shadows under his eyes, the tension in his jaw. "The cats?" He shrugs. "Strays. They started appearing a few months ago. I feed them. They come back. Does anyone else know?" "No." The word is sharp, a warning, and they won't. "Secret safe with me." She almost smiles. "I'm good at keeping secrets." Something shifts in his expression. The wariness loosens by a fraction. I noticed. They stand in silence for a moment. Two people who shouldn't be awake, sharing a terrace and a secret in the cold Seoul night. "I used to have a cat," Kendra says. "Back in Atlanta. Before everything." "What happened to it?" "I couldn't take her with me when I ran. Left her with my neighbor." She looks out at the city lights. "I think about her sometimes. Whether she remembers me." Ji-hoon doesn't respond immediately. When he does, his voice is different. Stripped of command. "You ran from something. Not just your brother's debts." "It's not a question. The people he owed money to." Kendra's throat tightens. "They sent me photographs. My mother's house with circles drawn around the windows. My nursing school with my schedule highlighted. My route to work, to class, to the grocery store. Every pattern I thought was invisible. Mapped out and delivered to my mailbox like a threat written in paper cuts. So you disappeared." "So I disappeared. A friend of a friend knew someone who could get me work overseas. Cash only, no records, no trail. I left everything. She swallows. Everyone. Ji-hoon moves to stand beside her at the terrace railing. Close but not touching. Present but not invasive. Your brother. Where is he now? Rehab. His third attempt. She laughs, but there's no humor in it. My mother scraped together the money after I left. Sold her car. Took out loans she'll never repay. Because that's what mothers do. And you can't contact her. Can't tell her you're alive. Not without leading those people straight to my door. And now, not without leading your people straight to hers. The words hang between them. You're the first person in 4 years, Ji-hoon says quietly, who told me the truth without wanting something in return. Kendra turns to look at him. What do most people want? Money, power, protection, favors they can trade later. His jaw tightens. Everyone wants something. Everyone has an angle. Except you. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to have an angle. No. He meets her eyes. You're smart enough to see through mine. That's what makes you dangerous. The word lands differently than she expects. Not a threat. An observation. I'm not dangerous. You stepped in front of a gun for a stranger. That's either courage or insanity. Either way, it makes you unpredictable. He pauses. I've never known how to handle unpredictable. Maybe you don't have to handle me. The words come out before she can stop them. Maybe you could just know me. Silence. The city glitters below them. The wind cuts cold across the terrace. And somewhere in the distance, a siren wails a reminder that violence never sleeps in Seoul. Even at 4 a.m., Ji-hoon's hand moves. Not toward her, toward the railing. But his fingers brush hers in the process. A ghost of contact. An accident that feels like intent. Neither of them pulls away. Kendra's heart hammers. Her breath catches. The space between them shrinks into something charged and dangerous and impossible to name. Then his phone buzzes. The moment shatters. Ji-hoon pulls the device from his pocket, reads the screen, and his expression transforms. The softness vanishes. The warmth disappears. What replaces it is cold, hard. The face of a man who has just received very bad news. What is it? He doesn't answer immediately. Reads the message twice. 3 times. His jaw works like he's grinding glass between his teeth. Ji-hoon. Her use of his first name breaks through. He looks at her with eyes gone dark. Han escaped custody. The words come out flat. Controlled. But she hears the fury underneath. Killed 2 of my men getting out. Took something with him. What did he take? Ji-hoon meets her gaze. Photographs. Of you. Your real name. Your face. He pauses. Your mother's address in Atlanta. The terrace tilts beneath Kendra's feet. Some would say she should have stayed invisible. Others say courage always costs something. What do you think, was she right to speak up? Her mother. The woman who sold her car and took out loans and never stopped loving a daughter who vanished without warning. The woman who sleeps in a house with circled windows, unaware that new enemies have just been handed her address. We have to warn her, Kendra says. We have to. It's being handled. Handled how? By your people? The same people who let Han escape? Ji-hoon's expression hardens. But he doesn't argue. Because she's right. And they both know it. My mother doesn't know I'm alive. The words tear out of Kendra like something jagged. Her hands gripping the terrace railing so hard her knuckles go white. The Seoul skyline blurs through sudden tears she refuses to let fall. Ji-hoon stands 3 feet away, close enough to touch, far enough to give her space to break. I left without saying goodbye. Her voice cracks. 18 months ago. I packed 1 bag, bought a one-way ticket with cash I'd been hiding in a coffee can, and I disappeared. She woke up the next morning and I was just gone. You were protecting her. I was abandoning her. Kendra turns to face him. Her eyes are red but dry. Fierce. My brother Darnell, he's the one who owed money. He's the one who gambled away everything we had. But I'm the one who ran. I'm the one who left her to deal with the fallout while I hid on the other side of the world. Ji-hoon doesn't offer comfort. Doesn't tell her she did the right thing. He just listens. The loan sharks came to her house 3 days after I left, kicked in the front door, went through every room looking for me. Kendra's hands curl into fists. She called Darnell from the hospital. Broken wrist, fractured cheekbone, and she still didn't tell the police what really happened, because she was afraid of what they'd do to him. That's why you can't go back. That's why I can't exist. If they find out where I am, they'll use her to get to me. And if they find out someone like you is protecting me. She laughs, bitter, broken. They'll think there's real money involved. They'll think she knows something. They'll hurt her worse trying to find out. The wind cuts across the terrace, cold enough to sting. I'll protect her. Kendra stares at him. What? Your mother, your brother, everyone you left behind. Jihoon's voice is steady, certain, the voice of a man making a promise he intends to keep. I have people in the States, contacts who owe me favors. By tomorrow morning your family will have protection they'll never know exists. You can't. I can. He steps closer. And I will. No one touches your family, Kendra. Not the Bakes. Not the loan sharks. Not anyone. She searches his face for the lie. For the angle. For whatever this costs. Because nothing in Jihoon's world comes free. She finds nothing but truth. Why? The question comes out small. Confused. Why would you do this for me? Jihoon doesn't answer immediately. He moves to the railing beside her, his shoulder almost touching hers, his gaze fixed on the city below. I was 15 when my father died. The words land like stones dropped into still water. The Bake family planted the bomb in his car. They meant to kill him alone. But my mother, his jaw tightens. She wasn't supposed to be there. She'd canceled her plans that night, wanted to surprise him. Kendra holds her breath. The explosion threw me 20 feet. I don't remember the impact. I just remember waking up on the pavement with my ears ringing and fire everywhere. His voice goes flat, distant, like he's reading from a script he memorized long ago. My father died instantly. But my mother, she was still alive when I reached her. Jihoon. She held my hand for 11 minutes. That's how long it took for the ambulance to arrive. 11 minutes of watching her slip away while I begged her to stay. His hands gripped the railing. She kept trying to tell me something, kept moving her lips, but I couldn't hear her over the ringing in my ears. I never found out what she wanted to say. The scar on his neck, the crescent moon shape crawling toward his jaw, a piece of metal from the car door. He touches it without seeming to realize. The doctor said I was lucky. Another inch and it would have hit my carotid. I'm sorry. The words feel inadequate, paper thin against the weight of his grief. I became what I am because I had no other choice. The Bakes would have finished what they started if I'd stayed a child. So I became a monster instead. He finally looks at her. I haven't talked about that night in 15 years. Not to anyone. Kendra's chest tightens. This man. This terrifying, powerful, impossible man. He's showing her the wound beneath the armor. The boy beneath the boss. The human beneath the monster. Why me? She whispers. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked about the scar once. In the kitchen. 3 days ago. And I pretended not to hear. His eyes hold hers. I don't want to pretend anymore. Not with you. The space between them shrinks. She should pull away. Should remember who he is. What he is. The blood that stains everything he touches. The empire built on violence and fear and calculated ruthlessness. But when he looks at her, really looks. The way he did that first night at the restaurant. Like she's the only thing in the world worth seeing, she can't remember why any of that matters. His hand finds hers. Warm. Gentle. Trembling slightly. Though he'd never admit it. She doesn't pull away. They stand like that until sunrise paints the sky in shades of orange and pink. Two broken people finding pieces of themselves in each other's wreckage. Two survivors who learned long ago that trust is a luxury neither can afford. And yet, trauma recognizes trauma, Kendra says softly. Jihoon's fingers tighten around hers. Yes, he murmurs. It does. Trauma recognizes trauma. And sometimes healing starts in the last place you'd expect. But can she trust a man whose world runs on violence? Subscribe because the next chapter changes everything between them. Blood. The word is carved into the foreman's chest with a knife that took its time. Kendra stands at the edge of Jihoon's office, watching him stare at the photographs spread across his desk. His warehouse in Incheon. His men, 3 of them dead. And the message left on the body of a man who'd worked for the Choi family for 20 years. Send us the woman. The letters are jagged, precise, each cut deep enough to expose bone. When did this happen? Jihoon's voice is ice. No warmth, no hesitation. The man who held her hand at sunrise has vanished, replaced by something cold and sharp and absolutely terrifying. 4 hours ago. Dae-jung stands at attention, his boxer's face grim. They knew exactly when to hit. Shift change. Skeleton crew. They were in and out in under 7 minutes. Security footage? Disabled. Professionally. Ji-hoon's fist slams down on the desk. The photographs scatter. A coffee cup shatters against the floor. Find them. Sir, we're working on. Find them! The words crack through the room like gunfire. I want every Baek associate in Seoul rounded up by midnight. Every contact. Every cousin. Every second cousin twice removed. I want them to understand what happens when they touch what's mine. Kendra's stomach drops. What's mine? Is that what she is now? Property? A possession to be fought over like territory on a map? Daejung nods and retreats. The door closes behind him. Ji-hoon stands with his back to her. His shoulders are rigid. His hands press flat against the desk like he's holding himself together through sheer force of will. You should have let me leave. He doesn't turn around. Excuse me? When this started, Kendra's voice shakes, but she doesn't stop. You should have given me money and put me on a plane to somewhere the Baeks would never find me. This is happening because of me. Those men died because of me. Those men died because the Baek family are murderers. They died because I'm here. Because you're protecting me. Because they know hurting me is the fastest way to hurt you. Now he turns. His eyes are dark, dangerous. The eyes of the predator she saw that first night at the orchid room. What exactly are you suggesting? Let me be bait. The words hang in the air. I'll let them take me. Lead your people straight to wherever they're hiding. End this. Absolutely not. Ji-hoon. I said no. He crosses the room in 3 strides, stopping close enough that she can feel the heat radiating off him. Do you understand what they would do to you? What Han would do? He doesn't just want you dead. He wants you destroyed. He wants to send me pieces of you in gift-wrapped boxes. Then let him try. At least then you'd know where he is. You think I care about finding him more than keeping you alive? His voice rises, cracks. You think any of this matters more than... He stops himself. But too late. Kendra stares at him. More than what? Silence. You're controlling me. The anger she's been burying erupts, keeping me locked in this compound like a pet, making decisions about my life without asking what I want. I'm not your property, Ji-hoon. I'm not your problem to solve. You think this is about control? What else would it be? He moves closer. Close enough that she has to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. Close enough that she can see the pulse hammering in his neck. You think I'm keeping you here for my safety? His voice drops. Rough, raw. I'm keeping you here because if something happens to you, I won't survive it. I've buried everyone I've ever loved. My father, my mother, friends who became brothers. I've watched them die and I've learned to keep living, because that's what this life requires. His hand rises, hovers near her face without touching. But you, the word comes out broken. I can't bury you, Kendra. I won't survive it. She should step back. She should remember the blood, the violence. The 3 men dead in a warehouse because of her. But her body doesn't move. You don't get to decide that alone. Her voice comes out breathless. You don't get to lock me away and call it love. I never said. You didn't have to. They're breathing hard now. Both of them. Too close. Too angry. Too aware of the electricity crackling between them. This is insane, she whispers. Yes. We barely know each other. Yes. I should hate you. Probably. Ji-hoon. He kisses her. Not gentle. Not careful. He kisses her like a man who has forgotten how to be soft. Like someone drowning and she's the only air left in the world. His hands find her face, her waist, pull her against him with desperate hunger. And God help her, she kisses him back. Like a woman who has forgotten how to be safe. Like someone who stopped running long enough to realize she'd been running toward this all along. The photographs scatter beneath their feet. The broken coffee cup crunches under her shoes. None of it matters. Nothing matters except his mouth on hers, and her hands fisting his shirt, and the way his name sounds when she gasps it against his lips. Kendra. He pulls back just far enough to breathe. His forehead rests against hers. Tell me to stop. No. This changes everything. I know. His lips find hers again, and somewhere in Seoul, the Baek family plans their next move, unaware that the woman they want destroyed has just become the most protected person in the country. The bed is empty when she wakes. Kendra reaches across cold sheets, her fingers finding nothing but absence. Morning light streams through windows she forgot to cover last night, illuminating a room that looks exactly the way it did before everything changed. Except everything has changed. She sits up. Her clothes from yesterday lie scattered across the floor, his shirt mingled with her dress, his belt coiled near her shoes. Evidence of a night that felt like a dream but wasn't. Where is he? She finds her phone on the nightstand. No messages, no missed calls, just the time blinking up at her. 7:42 a.m. He didn't stay. The thought cuts deeper than it should. She showers, dresses in fresh clothes from the closet that appeared fully stocked on her third day here. Simple things, expensive things, clothes chosen by someone who studied her size without asking. She finds Ji-hoon in his office. He's standing at the window, his back to the door, his posture rigid, distant. 1,000 miles away even though she's close enough to touch him. Ji-hoon. He doesn't turn around. Last night was a mistake. The words hit her like ice water. Excuse me? I wasn't thinking clearly. The stress of the situation. The news about the warehouse. He still won't look at her. It shouldn't have happened. Kendra's hands curl into fists. Look at me. Kendra. Look at me. He turns. His face is a mask. Cold. Controlled. The face of the crime lord she first saw at the Orchid Room. Not the man who whispered her name against her skin just hours ago. Everyone I care about dies. His voice is flat. Rehearsed. That's not superstition. That's pattern recognition. My father, my mother, friends, allies. Everyone who gets close to me ends up in the ground. So your solution is to push me away? My solution is to keep you alive. By pretending last night didn't happen? By remembering what matters. His jaw tightens. The Bakes are still out there. Han is still hunting you. And if they find out that you're more than just someone I'm protecting, if they find out you're someone He stops himself. But she heard the word he couldn't finish. You don't get to decide what risks I'm willing to take. Kendra crosses the room. Stops directly in front of him. Close enough to see the war in his eyes, the want fighting the fear, the need fighting the control. You don't get to kiss me like that and then pretend you feel nothing. I feel everything. The words escape before he can stop them. Raw, ragged. That's the problem. I feel everything. And it terrifies me more than any enemy ever has. The last person I loved, I buried. His voice breaks. I can't do that again. I won't survive it. Kendra reaches up. Her hands cup his face. Her thumbs trace the sharp angles of his cheekbones. The crescent moon scar that tells the story of his worst night. Then don't bury me. His eyes close. Fight for me instead. The mask cracks. She watches it happen, the walls crumbling, the control shattering. The man underneath finally letting himself be seen. I don't know how to do this, he whispers. I don't know how to love someone and not destroy them. Then we figure it out together. His forehead drops to hers. His hands find her waist, pull her close, hold on like she's the only solid thing in a world made of quicksand. Together, he echoes. She kisses him softly, a promise more than passion. Together. The phone rings at 4 a.m. Kendra wakes to Ji-hoon's sharp intake of breath, his body going rigid beside her in the darkness. He reaches for the phone on the nightstand, reads the caller ID, and his face transforms into something she's never seen before. Fear. Real fear. What is it? She sits up. Ji-hoon, what's wrong? He answers the call. Listens. Goes completely still. When he speaks, his voice is ice. Say that again. More words from the other end. Words she can't hear but can feel in the way his whole body tenses like a spring about to break. I understand. He ends the call. Kendra's heart pounds. What happened? Ji-hoon looks at her. And in his eyes, she sees something that makes her blood run cold. They have my mother's grave. The words come out broken, hollow. The Bakes. They're threatening to dig her up, unless I hand you over by sunrise. Some threats target the living. This one targets the dead. What happens next? Only subscribers find out. The cemetery gates stand open like a mouth waiting to swallow them whole. Ji-hoon's convoy rolls to a stop at 5:17 a.m., 43 minutes before sunrise. 7 vehicles, 28 men, an arsenal that could start a small war, and one woman who refuses to hide. You shouldn't be here. Ji-hoon's voice is tight as they exit the armored SUV. His hand rests on the gun at his hip, his eyes scanning the darkness beyond the cemetery's iron fencing. Neither should you. Kendra matches his stride. But here we are. The graveyard stretches before them in neat rows of stone and shadow. Cherry trees line the main path, the same cherry trees that bloom above his mother's grave each spring. He's told her about those trees, about how he comes here every anniversary, about how he talks to a woman who can't answer. Tonight, those trees might become a battlefield. Daejung. Ji-hoon's security chief appears at his elbow. Status. Perimeter is secured. Snipers in position. We've identified at least 4 Bake operatives in the northeast quadrant. Only 4? That we can see. Ji-hoon's jaw tightens. Where's Han? Unknown. But if he's here, we'll find him. They move deeper into the cemetery. Past graves that go back generations. Past monuments to people whose names Kendra can't read in the darkness. Past the ghosts of Seoul's history, sleeping beneath soil that might run red before morning. His mother's grave sits beneath the largest cherry tree. Even in the darkness, Kendra can see the freshly disturbed earth around it. The Bakes weren't bluffing. They've already started digging. Ji-hoon freezes. His whole body goes rigid. His breath catches in his throat. And for one terrible moment, Kendra watches him become 15 again. A boy standing over his mother's body, helpless to save her. Ji-hoon, she grabs his arm. Stay with me. His eyes snap to hers. Focus returns. The boy disappears. The man remains. They'll pay for this. The words come out low. Lethal. Every single one of them. A figure emerges from the shadows beyond the grave. Han Sung-jin walks toward them with the casual confidence of a man who holds all the cards. His 4 years of perfect service are gone, replaced by something predatory, hungry. His suit is different now, not the tailored professionalism of Ji-hoon's PA, but something darker, more militant. Ji-hoon. Han's voice carries across the silent graves. I was hoping you'd come yourself. Where are the Bake elders? Watching, from somewhere safe. Han smiles. They wanted to see this moment. The great Ji-hoon Choi, brought to his knees by a dead woman, and a waitress. Your father killed my family at the river. Han circles closer. Only fitting you lose yours at a grave. Ji-hoon's hand moves toward his weapon. Ah. Han raises a finger. I wouldn't do that if I were you. A red dot appears on Kendra's chest. She looks down. The laser trembles slightly, the sniper's hand, not quite steady, but it stays centered over her heart. One wrong move, Han continues, and she dies. Then your men die. Then you die. And your mother's bones become a message that the Bake family sends to everyone who ever wronged them. Ji-hoon's face goes blank, the mask sliding back into place. What do you want? What I've always wanted. Han's smile widens. Everything you have, everything your father took from us. I want the Choi Empire dismantled. I want your name erased from history. I want you to watch everything you built crumble before I let you die. And her? Han's gaze shifts to Kendra. Something dark moves behind his eyes. The woman who ruined 4 years of planning? He shrugs. I haven't decided yet. Death seems too quick for what she cost me. But I have time. Once you're gone, I'll have all the time in the world. The red dot holds steady on Kendra's chest. Ji-hoon's men stand frozen around them, weapons drawn but useless. Any shot would trigger the sniper. Any movement would end in bloodshed. Instalemate. But not for long. You want me? Ji-hoon's voice comes out strange. Hollow. Fine. Take me. Ji-hoon. Kendra's protest dies as he raises a hand. Let her go. He drops his weapon. The gun clatters against stone. Let her walk out of here alive, and you can have everything. The Empire. The name. My life. Han's eyes narrow. You're bluffing. Try me. Silence. The red dot wavers. Holds. I built this empire for a dead woman who never wanted it. Ji-hoon's voice cracks. I became a monster for a legacy I never asked for. None of it matters if she dies here tonight. He looks at Kendra. And in his eyes, she sees the truth of what he's doing. He's trading himself for her. The most powerful man in Seoul's underworld. The predator who never shows weakness. The monster who learned long ago that love was a vulnerability he couldn't afford. Trading everything. For her. Ji-hoon, don't. I love you. The words come out simple. Certain. I didn't want to. I tried not to. But here we are. He turns back to Han. Let her go. And I'm yours. He built an empire on never showing weakness. Tonight, he offered everything for a woman he met 47 times as his waitress. What would you sacrifice for love? The bullet never comes. Kendra isn't standing where she's supposed to be. 3 weeks in this compound. 3 weeks memorizing every shadow, every corridor, every line of sight. She didn't do it on purpose. Survival instincts don't turn off just because the cage is gilded. And right now, those instincts save her life. She drops. Rolls. Comes up behind a gravestone as the sniper's shot tears through empty air where her chest used to be. Chaos erupts. Ji-hoon's men open fire. Muzzle flashes light the cemetery like lightning. Han dives for cover behind his mother's grave, using the dead woman as a shield. the way he's used everything else. Kendra's hand closes around a chunk of broken gravestone. Marble, heavy, the only weapon she has. She doesn't think. She runs, not away from danger, toward it, toward the position where she saw the sniper's scope glinting 3 seconds before everything went wrong, toward the one threat no one else can reach because they're all focused on Han. The sniper sees her coming. Too late. She hurls the marble chunk with every ounce of strength she has left. It connects with his scope, shattering glass and sending the rifle spinning from his hands. He scrambles for a sidearm. She reaches him first. 18 months of invisibility. 18 months of watching dangerous men and learning their weaknesses. 18 months of survival instincts sharpened to a razor's edge. The fight lasts 4 seconds. He hits the ground unconscious, and Kendra grabs his fallen rifle with hands that won't stop shaking. Back at the grave, the gunfire has stopped. Ji-hoon stands over Han, who lies bleeding on the disturbed earth of his mother's resting place. Not dead, not yet, but close. You should have stayed buried. Ji-hoon's voice is empty. Your whole family should have stayed buried. Han laughs. Blood bubbles at his lips. The Bakes. They never intended to honor our deal. His eyes find Ji-hoon's, and something shifts in them, the hatred giving way to something more complicated. I was useful, until I wasn't. Just like my father. Just like everyone who ever trusted them. You chose them anyway. I chose revenge. Han's breathing rattles. 15 years of wanting you dead. And in the end, I'm the one dying on your mother's grave. Another bloody laugh. There's poetry in that, don't you think? His hand twitches toward his jacket. Not a weapon. A photograph. Old. Worn. A woman's face staring up from decades past. My mother. Han's voice softens. She died of grief. 3 months after the Bakes fell. Just stopped eating. Stopped living. His eyes flutter. I thought killing you would bring her back. Stupid, right? The dead don't come back. His hand goes limp. The photograph falls onto the grave. And Han Sung-jin, who spent 4 years waiting to destroy a man who never deserved his father's sins, takes his last breath surrounded by the bones of people he hated. Dawn breaks over the cemetery. Pink and orange and soft, painting the cherry trees in colors that seem wrong after so much violence. Ji-hoon stands motionless over the graves, his mother's, and now Han's final resting place. Kendra approaches slowly. Her hands are still shaking. The rifle is gone, passed off to one of Ji-hoon's men. Exhaustion pulls at her like gravity, but she keeps moving, keeps walking toward the man who offered everything to save her. He turns as she reaches him. No words. He just pulls her against his chest and holds on. 6 months later, Seoul feels different. Kendra walks through Gangnam with coffee in her hand and textbooks in her bag, her nursing degree finally within reach. The credits she abandoned in Atlanta transferred easier than expected. Ji-hoon's lawyers made sure of that. So did her new visa. So did everything else that once seemed impossible. She still thinks about the woman she was 18 months ago. The ghost who served whiskey and kept her eyes on the floor. The survivor who learned that invisibility was the only safety available to someone like her. That woman is gone. In her place is someone who grabs dangerous men by their jackets and tells them the truth even when it might kill her. The Orchid Room reopened last month. Different management now. Different clientele. The kind of restaurant where celebrities pose for photographs instead of crime lords seal fates with handshakes. The crystal chandeliers still scatter light like frozen tears, but the shadows don't hold the same secrets anymore. Tonight, Kendra walks through the front door. Not as staff. As a guest. Ji-hoon waits at table 7. The same spot where she served him 47 times without being seen. The same chair where he sat the night everything changed. He stands as she approaches. You're late. Traffic. She slides into the seat across from him. And I wanted to make you wait. His lips twitch. Almost a smile. Worth it. They eat. They talk. They drink wine that costs less than it used to. Because the new ownership has different priorities. The conversation flows easily now. 6 months of learning each other. Smoothing the rough edges. Filling the silences. Building something real from wreckage. But Ji-hoon has been quiet for the last few minutes. Watching her with an expression she can't quite read. What? She sets down her glass. You're staring. I have something for you. He reaches into his jacket. Pulls out a small box covered in black velvet. Kendra's heart stops. Before you panic, he opens the box. Inside lies a ring. Simple. Elegant. A band of white gold with a single dark stone that catches the candlelight like captured night. This isn't a proposal. Then what is it? A promise. He sets the box on the table between them. When you're ready, If you're ever ready, I'll be here. She looks at the ring. At the man who gave it. At the impossible path that led her from invisible waitress to the only person who ever made Ji-hoon Choi lower his weapon. You know I'm not easy. Her voice comes out thick, stubborn, opinionated, terrible at following orders. His smile, rare, real. Hers lights something in his eyes. I know. That's why you saved my life. She picks up the ring, slides it onto her finger, watches the dark stone catch light the way his eyes caught her attention. That very first night, unexpected, dangerous, and absolutely impossible to look away from. Then I guess you're stuck with me, Mr. Choi. He reaches across the table, takes her hand, pulls it toward his lips. Ji-hoon, he corrects, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. To you it's just Ji-hoon, the invisible woman who saw everything. The dangerous man who'd forgotten how to be seen. In a world obsessed with power, they'd found something rarer truth, told at the exact moment it mattered most. Some stories end with kingdoms won. This one ended with something better. Two people who chose each other when choosing was the hardest thing to do. Their story started with a grab and a warning. It ended with a promise. If this moved you, if you felt something reading these words, then do yourself a favor. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. More stories like this are coming. Stories about courage. About love found in impossible places. About ordinary people who do extraordinary things when everything is on the line. Don't miss them. And while you're here, drop a comment below. Tell us what you felt. What moment stayed with you. What you would have done in Kendra's shoes. Your thoughts inspire others. Your words create community. And together, we build something bigger than any single story. Subscribe, comment, share. Because the next chapter of something beautiful is always just around the corner.